Let's fucking go. We're here. Let's go.
Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Terrible DGAF show with myself, Caleb, and none other than Derwin Gray.
Appreciate it, dog. Excited, man, to kick off week one football here. And I mean, we ready, excited to dive into some Steelers football. But not just yet. Not before we get right to that. We got to talk about the exit meetings and the football coming to an end of preseason and some of these cuts that's going on. Okay, what you think about that?
I thought there was a few surprising cuts. You know, we've talked about Anthony McFarland. He was one of them. They managed 100%. to get him back on the practice squad, so that just shows you that they didn't really want to get rid of him.
Yeah, definitely. And that's funny thing you say that Ed Mack Kane got back to the practice squad, because with his talent, I was expecting him not to clear waivers. I was thinking that he was going to be gone. You know what I mean? And with all that being said, just that his talent alone and his ability to play, just that I'm surprised he wasn't scooped up so fast. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy how football works and everything, and far as when it comes to players and how they come back to the practice squad to being cut. Because, I mean, I know for me, man, as a player when I got cut before, man, it's hard to come back into a situation where you said I'm not good enough to play on a 53-man roster. That's always kind of been something that's always been hard for me to accept if I had to go to that situation. Like, it'd be like, hell no, fuck you. I'm going somewhere else. You know what I mean? Or I'll wait. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, man, to see how the transitions of these camps and 53-man rosters are built. And sometimes just be like, how did he make the team? You know what I mean? It's every year is always a big shock of how did he make the team? Or why did he get rid of that guy?
Yeah, I would say in the Ant Mac cutting, because obviously he was, if not our second best running back, he was definitely third behind our undrafted guy who really showed out in the preseason.
Oh my goodness!
But Benny, I think it was his special teams presence. He's kind of made that role on special teams. He's one of our top guys as far as it comes to that. I don't think Benny's running back 2 anymore. I think that is going to go to the undrafted guy in Jaylen Warren.
Oh my goodness, he's definitely a specimen. He's definitely a guy that definitely proved himself in training camp and through the preseason games. And I mean, I never heard a guy, he wasn't there when I was there. But hey, Caleb, I'm gonna tell you right now, that guy, when he gets the ball, man, he's gonna run. And I think that's a special guy to have. And I think that he's gonna continue to grow and continue to get better, because he's right behind Najee, and Najee's playing well. You know what I mean? So a guy like him, it looked like it means something to him. It looked like he has something to prove. And not only has something to prove, he wants to outwork Najee and become that number one guy. And being undrafted, I mean, that alone, you have a chip in your shoulder. You got to come in and prove yourself. So he definitely got it done during training camp.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of funny that one of the great Steeler running backs in Steelers history was also an undrafted guy who happens to be Jaylen Warren's cousin in Fast, Willie Parker.
Wow. Never knew that. That is crazy. Yep. Willie Parker was a dog back in the day.
Yeah.
Dog. Willie Parker was a dog. That was crazy.
But
man, it was also another crazy cut that I wasn't seeing coming together. Justin Lane and Marcus Allen. I was like, whoa. They just bought Chico Allen back. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, whatever. We just signed him back for a 1-year deal. So I was like, I wasn't expecting that one coming. I mean, I thought they had some roles fulfilled for him, that he was going to come and be maybe a special teams guy, or, you know what I mean, maybe I don't know, some type of special package where he's playing kind of safety / linebacker. Like, who knows? I thought they brought him back for a reason. But it was crazy.
Yeah, and that's so I think in that with Marcus Allen, I think there was a conversation because obviously DeMonte Casey, who he got put on the IR but set to return list with Calvin Austin. But I think it was known when Marcus Allen got cut that if he made it through and nobody tried to re-sign him or sign him, that we were going to bring him back once Casey and Austin got put on the designated to return list. Now, does that mean Allen's going to make it the full season? That's going to depend on, injuries.
Tough. And that's got to be tough here, Caleb, about being a player, man. It's got to be tough to know that reason you back is because of someone else's downfall. Mm-hmm. And I think it's almost hard to accept that as a player because it's like you're not wanted, but you're on a back burner if someone gets hurt or someone, I don't know, something happens with this player, then okay, we accept you. And I think that's bullshit. You know what I mean? I think it's bullshit. I think that Marcus Allen has something definitely to prove as he goes back to the football facility over there on the south side. I think he needs to definitely go in there with a different mindset. Yeah. I just think all the laughing at games and all that thinking these coaches are for you should be over at this point because they showed you right then and there how they're going to pat you in the back and cut you the next day. So if he doesn't understand that by now, and I don't know when he will understand it, but I think that he has something very much to prove, not to himself, to everyone, because Pittsburgh, they had their guy, and the guy Case was their guy. Mm-hmm. Highland, you was out the door. So the only reason you're here because someone got hurt. Yeah. So I think you need to go in there, man, week one, starting off and just literally just knocking the door down and making his presence felt, bringing back that hard-hitting mentality, him knocking dudes' heads off like he was at Penn State. Because Marcus Allen is a specimen, too. He's a guy that can definitely put his face on it. Coverage skills, subpar, but when it comes to physicality and a guy being there and putting his face on, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a running back, all that, Marcus Allen is the guy to fulfill that role. And like I said, I'm excited to see Marcus back, you know what I mean? But Marcus has to understand that he's back because of someone else's downfall, that he wasn't the guy. And I think that mindset right there will help him get through the year and foster playing at a high level to understand that every day is not promised to him, you know what I mean? Because any day that guy, Cage, walk back in that building, someone has to go. And most likely will be Allen. So
yeah, that's the I've always been a fan of Marcus, even when we drafted him, even though he is the reason or one of the main reasons why Penn State beat Ohio State that year with that blocked field goal.
That blocked field goal, that was crazy.
Yeah. He's a specimen, and you can definitely tell he is the life of the locker room, just with his 100%. Personality and everything like that. Right. I hope once KZ does come back, Marcus Allen still is on the team, because they have him listed as a linebacker now, so he doesn't even really play as safety anymore, and he's never really played it on the defense, but maybe a few snaps, and I think they were last year.
But, Marcus always has been, since I was there, Marcus' role has been minimized at safety and moved more transitioning to like a third down backer, maybe an in space checking a running back or something like that, or maybe a tight end. But Marcus have never really been a safety around my time in Pittsburgh. And I think that was definitely something to help in his favor because Marcus is a thumper. Yeah. Marcus being a thumper, he wants to come down and put his face on things, put his Riddell under people's chin. And I think Tomlin did a great job by making that more possible for him to do that by moving him from safety where you batting balls down to bring him inside that box where it's a little more gritty at. And I think that's Marcus accepted that role, and Marcus definitely took that role 100% and accepted it because he knew that's the thing he liked to do. So with that being said, it's just a tough time, you know what I'm saying, in football where around this year people got to go and people got to stay. And you just sometimes all you can do is do your part and do what's asked of you and see exactly how the picture come to life. You know what I'm saying? And some people be sad, some people be happy. You know what I mean? So it just sucks, man, as a player around this time of the year. Because, I mean, as we talked about previously, it's got to get down to a 53-man roster with 14 people in the practice squad. And that's just the reality and the nature of this game. And these players and lives may have played their last football games this past weekend. They might have played their last football game. Just never know. Yep. So,
one of those I'm going to throw a little shade as somebody who got cut. Granted, he made the NFL and he was on a team, but Mateo Durant, he was one of those guys that got cut. That dude stood me up for really? Episode on my other show. Yep. What? He was like, we'll do it at this time. I sat there for like an hour waiting for him to, join. I haven't heard from that man in like a month and a half. So I wasn't too I wasn't too upset. I wasn't too upset about the Jalen Warren emergence after that.
Well, you ain't got to worry about hearing from him. You
Uh-huh.
ain't got to wait no
Yep.
more long. Yeah, just keep waiting.
hmm
But nah, no shade, guy. Man, we out here showing love, man. Just fucking around, man. But hey, don't stab my guy up no more, man.
But now that
But
we've
yeah,
talked about, some of these cuts, we can kind of go into, we made some additions outside of the team, like in trading for Malik Reed from Denver, which I absolutely love because he is just watching the tape on him. He's very quick and being that third pass rusher, which was a weakness for us after Highsmith and TJ. We had nobody.
yeah. And as we transition to talk about this, Malik Reed definitely brings a tenacity to the game. I think he's definitely going to help in the inside with Montrevious and the rest of those guys. And I don't know. I'm not sure. Did they bring the Davis boys back?
Carlos, he's back on the practice squad. Khalil did not make the cut.
He cleared waivers. He went
Yeah.
somewhere.
I
Okay.
don't know if he went anywhere, but I just know he didn't get brought back to the practice squad or to the Steelers in general.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, all I can say is Khalil. He's a good player. They could have used him. Carlos is
Mhm.
definitely a good player. However, that dude Malik Reed is definitely going to bring a different type of tenacity to the game. He's a
Yeah.
savvy veteran. Man. He's a savvy veteran. I mean, a guy that really understands the game and understands how to make plays. I mean, he
hmm
coming from a good system, man, where making plays this thing. So I think where he gonna be surrounded by a great talent with Cam, Highsmith, TJ. I mean, that's going to motivate him enough. That alone, that group alone, is going to motivate him enough that he's going to go out there and make even more plays because they got to learn how to double team somebody.
Yeah, and
So
that's what was night. And one of the things, whenever he was on his way out of Denver, they asked him, where would he want to go, and Pittsburgh was his top choice and where he wanted to go. He even took a pay cut to come here. That news got released today. Um, but yeah, so Malik Reed's had the chance to learn from Von Miller in Denver, and now he's got a chance to team up with T.J. Watt. And if TJ keeps going at this pace, that's two of the greatest outside linebackers in NFL history.
100%. With TJ Watt, man, that it's crazy if you think about TJ Watt because when I was there, man, TJ Watt, you just seeing the greatness in him, man, and how he motivate other players around him. And
Yep.
I think that with that alone, TJ just bring a special leadership to that group. I know Cam is the old head, the older guy, the guy that runs the ship. But TJ runs by his actions, and TJ's proven every day, even in the preseason games. He only got a few snaps, but he continued to go out there and he made plays, and then he took his stuff off and cheered his guys on. So I think with that, like I said, once again, he's going to help that group. When Malik Reed coming in here and him coming in from a new team, he's definitely going to catch on quick because you got guys like Cam, Malik, Cam, TJ, even Tyson Alou. And that's one of my guys too. And I mean, Tyson is definitely a good player too. I mean, during the time I was there at Pittsburgh, man, you had him, you had Javon Hargrave. I mean, and it just
A
had guys.
wobble.
Wow. I mean, Tyson is kind of like the guy that's not being talked about, but Tyson's a guy that's going to make plays. So I'm excited to see Malik Reed work, man. I mean, they went and go traded him after training camp when people narrowing their rosters down, and they went out and got someone to add to their
Yeah.
roster. So
Yep.
it's crazy. So I'm excited to see what Malik Reed brings.
Yeah, and you talked about Tyson Alualu, and clear our defense took a massive hit after already missing Stephon Tuitt last year, who's now retired.
Right.
Missing
Oh, yeah.
Tyson after I think week 2, I think it was, he got hurt.
Yep.
That just destroyed our run defense because Tyson had a reemergence in Pittsburgh, in my opinion. He was solid in Jacksonville, but he's been, a really, really good player for us since he's gotten here.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and it's crazy because when I was on my way to Jacksonville when I left Pittsburgh, Tyson actually signed with Jacksonville during that time. I don't know if you remember
Mm-hmm.
that. Tyson
I do,
signed with
yeah.
Jacksonville. So I was like, wow, I'm going to Jacksonville, and I'm about to be having another player there that I know. My guy
Yeah.
Tyson. We used to go against every day to practice. So I'm like, cool. And then he flipped and went back to Pittsburgh. I
Yep.
was like, what? I was like, no way. It is no way. But man, Tyson's definitely, man, that shows right there. Pittsburgh has a foundation there that a lot of players want to stay a part of and be a part of. And
Yeah.
like myself, like I love Pittsburgh to death, and I get the opportunity again, hopefully in a few weeks that I wouldn't mind going back to Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they just have a good foundation that they understands how to win, and
Yeah.
they have building blocks there where it continues to grow. They have a plan. You know what I mean? As a player, that's all you can ask for. Players like us, we need structure, and I think Pittsburgh has a great amount of respect for their players that they understand how to structurally help us, but not show to us. You know what I mean? They make
Yeah.
sure we become better players. So I think that's why Tyson and Flip them came back to Pittsburgh. Ain't no better place to be. No better place to be.
Yep. And then another trade addition was Jesse Davis, formerly of Miami, and then he signed with Minnesota this offseason. He's a
Okay.
30-year-old guard. I think he's 30, 31, 30. But he's got 74 starts. He played with Brian Flores in Miami. I think the essence of that trade was more of we have a young offensive line room, and they needed that veteran presence in that room. And to push, because that guy's played right guard, right tackle, left guard, and left tackle all throughout his career. So he can play any position, but I think he's going to be there to more push the left side in Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson.
And I think once again, I think Kendrick Green, and I think he's a special talent as well. With Dan Moore, I think that whole left side is pretty young, and I think right now it is lacking experience. It's definitely lacking maturity at that spot. And I think both players have great talent. I mean, they wouldn't be still in Pittsburgh if they didn't have talent. But we all know in this game, talent doesn't win. You know what I'm saying? They're going to need experience, the hard work, the preparation, all that combined together to help them become a better, complete player to make that talent show itself. So, with that, mean that they're going to need someone to give them a little kick. You know what I mean? I think bringing him in, Jesse in, I think that's definitely going to be a great addition to help them up front. You know what I mean? Especially on that left side. You know what I mean? The right side, not too much worried about them. You know what I mean? I mean, Chooks is playing pretty well. You know what I mean? The right side is pretty much holding up. But some of the plays that I've saw on the left side was kind of scary. This preseason. It was kind of scary. It kind of shocked me that they're still there.
Yeah, that's
but
one of the my guesses for a surprise cut was going to be Kendrick Green, who ended up making the team, and yet he has a whole lot of talent. And that man, when he made the team, people were on Twitter were kind of like going at him and going at his hairline, and Kendrick was going off on some people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Kendrick ain't gonna sit there and get boxed up. He gonna fight back.
Yeah.
But today, man, Kendrick understand he's in a city where fans love Steeler football. And today he can't take the criticism, you know what I'm saying, to heart, because understand when you make a big play, you can't take all their love from them to heart. Because in the day, they fans, they're gonna flip. They're gonna flip. Whatever way the team is going and they want them to win, they're gonna stay on that course. They want to win. So if we go the opposite way, they're gonna call you a piece of shit. Yeah. So all that being said, Kendrick, I mean, I understand that he did play well this preseason. And I think that doesn't, I mean, that's a warm up. I would say it's a warm up. Now you hear the real season. This would really count. But one thing about it is, me as a player, I feel like when you're going against preseason, you're going against scrubs. Now you're going against the real deal. So how is his game going to change from preseason to now? That's the question in my eyes for Kendrick moving forward, to get them guys up front to move in the right direction to hold up that left side. Because him and Dan Moore, they definitely going to need some maturity and some experience over there.
Well, and that's the thing. Kendrick Green's probably not even going to see the field the first, unless Kevin Dotson has an absolute meltdown. I think Kendrick Green lost himself the starting spot. Kevin Dotson by any means didn't go out and like take over the job. It was more of, Kendrick's play, and I think it's just technique issues with him and working on that, because we haven't seen the power that, like, there's a video I think when he was drafted where he was squatting 500 or 600 pounds or something like that at Illinois, but we've yet to see to see that power in like pass block reps or running block. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that as a player I always I wouldn't say not guys, but I always just kind of laugh when I see a lot of guys benching 700 pounds,
Yeah.
600 pounds squatting. It's not. I wouldn't say it's bullshit. I wouldn't say that it's not reasonable to do that. But I feel like if it's not translated, what's the point? And that's how I always looked at it because me personally, you won't catch me in the weight room doing 700 pounds. Yes, I'm a big motherfucker and I'm strong as hell, but it's about being stronger in the little tendons and things like that. But being more explosive and fast off the ball. And I think that with experience with those guys, they're going to understand coming off the ball as fast as you can is more important than being super strong. You can be super strong, but if you're stiff as a motherfucker and can't get out of that stance quick enough, you're going to get popped before you even get into your second step because the dude already on the ball. And that's all. I always took that as a way of how I approach my game, the way it's supposed to be fast off the ball. And I think that's something that Kendrick Green and Dan Moore going to have to develop, being super fast off the ball. Chooks is fast off the ball. Chooks get into his blocks fast off the ball. But they need that left side to get there too. The left side going to have to bring a little bit of, a little thump on that left side as well. And I think that power and all that's fine. But without that quickness off the ball, man, that power just never gets used. You know what I mean? And I think, like I said, it's technique. You're right. Technique things.
Yeah, so I think some people don't realize that offensive line, they have to be true technicians on the offensive line because there's like Aaron Donald trains with knives.
Right. 100%. And that's all offensive line work is hand coordination and feet. Feet first, eyes, and hands. Hands is always the last thing as an offensive lineman. And the reason why I say that is because you can put your hand on someone, but if your feet is not there, guess what? All you do is run right around. You're going to rotate, open the gate, sack.
Yeah.
Tackle for loss.
Yeah.
Hands get smacked down. All that. And I think that as an offensive lineman, the feet has to be there first. Has to be. And I mean, and that's how really offensive lines should be developed from the ground up. And as a player, I've been through several offensive line coaches, and I know ground up is what works.
Yeah.
And I know coming in as a rookie and things, I was a puncher. I wanted to punch hard as I can, just punch. But my feet used to miss. My feet wasn't there. So guess what Cameron do? Okay, he knows that he's going to punch me. He's going to slap my hands down. Guess what? He's going to round me because my feet ain't there. And I think that a little bit. And I think Kendrick right now is struggling a little bit with size. He looks kind of a little small. Sometimes when he get bored over, it looks bad. It looks bad. It looks like it's literally like 180 soaking wet.
Yeah.
You
sent me that one on Instagram, the one highlight of, or I guess low light of him during the preseason game.
It was bad, man. It was bad. And I was like, wow. I was like, wow. But everybody had bad plays, so it happens. But the good thing about it, Kendrick and Dan Moore, they're still here, still in the Steel City. How is they going to change now? How is it going to be different now from a week ago to the next week? Yeah. And that's a quick transition. I'm talking about that's nothing but like, maybe 10 days, 11 days, so they get this little break.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they get back into football. So they're going to become technicians overnight? I don't know. I don't see it, Caleb. I don't see it. I see them struggling the first half of the season.
I think as of right now, I would say there's definitely more hope for Dan Moore than there is Kendrick. I think Kendrick, obviously, he has the talent. He's just gotta put it all together. I think that's all he's missing.
But to knock you on that, the NFL is full of talent. Yeah. Everyone has to just put it all together. That's what makes the guys $100 million guys and guys that's regular people in the practice squad. They all got talent, but everyone puts it together at different speeds. But my thing is, how long would it take Kendrick and Dan Moore?
He's definitely with the right organization when it comes to, because the Steelers have been known to be very, very patient with players. Yep.
They're definitely great with development. I mean, I feel like I developed really well there, and I mean, I feel like they got me where I needed to be at, and still today, I mean, as far as my mentality when approaching the offensive line game. So I think it was and also was that, but also the experienced group around me as well, and that's the part that I hate for Kendrick and them because they don't get to experience the real offensive line of Pittsburgh. They're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing a new transitional,
Yeah.
new team, a new offensive line, new type of mentality offensive line now. They're not experiencing the OG line. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I say I was grateful to experience the OG line. You know what I mean? I think that's something that, like I said, the only person that's still there, maybe J.C. Hassner, my
Yep.
guy.
He's there.
He's
Yep.
still there. He's still there. And
Yep.
choose those two guys right there. It's the only ones that was there that's going to experienced it and know exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
And it's going to be those two guys, whether JC's starting, whether he's the inactive guy this year. JC's going to have to literally be a leader as well. They brought him back for a reason. JC's a hell of a player. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? He's a hell of a player, great guy, smart guy. You know what I mean? And he knows his role. And I think his role right now is going to have to be leadership and pushing those other guys until he
Yeah.
gets his spot at that center spot. Because Mason Coles have that on lock, as we see it so far, unless something changes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we'll kind of transition to that. I have the QB1 spot right here. I don't think there's really much of a discussion for it, though. I think ultimately Tomlin's going to go with Mitch.
Yep.
I think the competition was close, though. So in my opinion, it should be Kenny because their numbers are basically identical. And Pickett in the numbers that aren't identical, Pickett has the favor in. So that's my
I,
opinion. I think it should be Kenny, but I can understand
I
going
think
with Mitch.
Yeah, I'm 100% going with Mitch. I'm 100% for Tom and going with Mitch. I think he's a young guy. I think right now he still has to learn and develop. I think right now he's playing on raw talent, and I think right now he's also playing against, once again, preseason bodies. Those people that he scorched in during preseason in Jacksonville, those guys are not even there anymore. So my thing is, it's now the season time now. Right now, it's like almost like a restart over. Okay, we know what you can do in the lights now. We're gonna restart over. Let's just see you compete in the season against real talent. And I think right now Mitch has to get the start because once they didn't bring him in here for nothing. They didn't bring him in here for nothing. So he has to come out and play. You know what I mean? Mitch gonna have to go in there and light it up. But if he don't, you have a young cat that's sitting on that bench right now will find his ass is ready to touch that field. You know what I mean? He loved playing ball and you can see it on his face. So Mitch, like you said, we talked about before, his leash is short.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch's leash is short. So Mitch got to come in there and light it up. You know what I mean? Like I know he can, like everyone in the city know he can. But one fuck up, people gonna start to look
hard.
at
It's gonna be hard
for Mitch to hit that bench. So and it just sucks, man. It just sucks because Mitch haven't been a guy that everyone in the world loves. Oh, I would say everyone's like, oh my God, he has to be the starter. Right now, he's in a situation where it's potentially three of y'all guys are almost the same right now, including Mason Rudolph. And I mean, he's the weak link in everyone's eyes. But my eyes, he lit it up this camp. He lit it up this camp. And it's like,
good.
Bro, get my guy out of here. Let him go play for the Washington Commanders or something like that, man, because he can go play somewhere else. But it's just that he gonna be the inactive QB this year, and just the way it is, it sucks. But hey, he'll get a shot somewhere, and he gonna be a starter somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was, because they've gone out and said that they don't want to trade Mason, and maybe that's just as leverage, and maybe they're waiting for an injury down the line for on another team somewhere. But I mean, in reality, Mason's not gonna be back next year, so why not? Go and get, a pick or, maybe even a player for Mason. But
but like I said, I definitely think Mason's a starter in this league. I understand that he's not getting the shot. I understand he's not getting the shot that he deserved. He also is not getting the credit for his work that he's done this camp. I think that over the years he's been judged so much about his poor play, his poor decisions, his lack of confidence back there, that right now people are just so over Mason. Even if you do something good, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And me personally, I just don't think that. I think this league is just so wishy-washy. It's just so fast to get over a player that it's almost like I would say them, people outside have like not realistic mindsets of how this game works. This is a hard game. And as a quarterback, it's a hard fucking game. These guys are fast as hell on the edge. These guys are fast at DB. These guys can run sideline. It is hard to play quarterback in this league. And my thing is some guys that make it look easy. Tom Brady, Big Ben, those guys are different. Yeah, I mean, not every quarterback. There's only a few of those. The reason why we talk about best QBs in the league is only 2 or 3, but it's 32 teams. But it's only 2 or 3 quarterbacks we talk about because those guys are different. but the rest of the guys are all similar almost.
Yeah.
So what makes Mason Rudolph so much worse than Pickett or Trubisky? Don't know,
Yeah.
but we will find out soon.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and then we can kind of lead that into our season expectations. And my first talking point, it's Super Bowl or bust as always.
100%, and that's the thing. And they gotta aim high. They can't be aiming low. They can't aim to make it just to the wild card or make it to the first round or second round. They gotta aim to go bring back home the ship that everybody been waiting for. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I think they got the talent, they have the culture, they have the DNA for it, and I think they've been there before. The only thing that's gonna that in my mind that's different is just the youngness of the team now. The guys on the team that never been there. Even if they do get to the playoffs, I'm gonna be more so thinking about the experience of guys that been in the playoff there. They ain't got too many of them, and it's
Yeah.
just like who they gonna drive that ship. So I think they have a great chance. They have superstar talent right now. I'm talking about that wide receiver room. I'm so fired up for those guys in the wide receiver
Hmm.
room. I've never been that fired up for them. That boy 14, the way he blocks and that I love that shit now. Like it's becoming something that people want to have to game plan for.
Yeah.
That thing he comes off the line and like he's running around and push the motherfucker. That shit is becoming viral and that shit is becoming something that everyone had to watch out for. And the good thing about it is that boy, I mean not to skip off topic, but George Pickens coming off that line doing that, that's gonna create a lot of disruption. Not only for the corner, but for the defense, because when that guy come off the line and he shimmies like this and they think he's about to run around and he pushes them, boom, that guy has that in his mind now. So when he shimmies and he fake push and slides off and go around, guess what the dude gonna do? He's gonna try to do contact on him and he's gonna
Yep.
shimmy and go right around him wide open. So I
Yeah.
just think about things like that as a player, like so much shit that fucks up your mind as a player and
Yeah.
how a guy can manipulate that and literally destroy you all game. And I think George Pickens had an opportunity to do that.
It's
But
it, that matchup's going to be real fun to see once we go against Baltimore with Marcus Peters and
ooh,
Humphrey.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You got some physical guys over there, and they love that.
Yep.
They
Yep.
love that type of shit. They
Hmm.
love that shit there. So it's gonna be kind of crazy to see exactly how he lined up against real talent. But I think for some reason I'm excited to see him work because I know that he's gonna show up because he has
Yeah.
that dog mentality. He went to Georgia. There's the Georgia Dogs, Bulldog, and he's a dog himself, and he's ready. And I think
Yeah.
that out of all the players of the season, I'm excited to see him play. I
Yeah.
mean, I like the whole team, but I'm excited to see that one guy play because it's something about him that he brings to that game. But I think that they have a chance, like I said, to go to the Super Bowl. But it's just going to be experience right now. That's going to be kind of the experience and health of the team is just going to keep them back. And I think that's kind of everyone is in that same boat. And I won't say everyone's in the same boat as far as experience wise, but definitely health. Health is definitely something that they're gonna have to make sure they maintain this season and getting the guys the quality reps that's on the bench to be ready to step in and fulfill those roles if guys get hurt.
Yeah, and that's they definitely we have a Super Bowl caliber defense, and I believe our offense has top 10 potential, but we're only going to go as far as the O-line lets us go. I still think the product the offense is going to put out is going to be better than what we saw last year, just with the youngness and, we have more mobility in that quarterback position now. I think it's going to create more opportunities. It's going to create longer drives. It's going to eliminate the defense being out there so much and getting all those, point score. As we'll kind of segue into our next subject with Cincinnati and talking about the defense. We got blown out twice last year going against Cincinnati, but our offense couldn't stay on the field. They were one drive, quick drives, and the defense was just stuck out there and getting put in bad field position and getting, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, throwing all over them, and Mike Hilton, first game back at Pitt, waving to the fans and waving to the sideline saying bye.
Yep, it's definitely be a game to watch. I'm excited to see Mike Hilton back and him playing against his former team again to definitely get revenge. Every year against Pittsburgh is always going to be revenge for him because of how they let him go and then think that he's worth the money. So I think Mike Hilton should definitely come in with a mindset there because definitely he's my guy. Whatever color he wears, my guy. But it is some highlights of that game, some spotlights of that game. I definitely want to take a look at. Cincinnati's O lineman, Lyle Collins,
Mm-hmm.
is a newcomer. Lyle
Yep.
Collins is a great player, a dog from LSU, been a dog since he's been in the league. And he happened to be lined up at right tackle, and he happened to be going against the defensive player of the year, TJ Watt. And I'm excited to see how TJ managed to get around him. And I expect that I can't wait to see how Lyle comes and prepares and play against TJ's savvy ways and his slipperiness on the edge and how he try to contain the quarterback and all the stuff that goes into it. But I'm excited to see how Lyle hold up against TJ because I know it's going to be a battle with TJ on the edge and TJ will not stop coming. And
Yeah.
now that's my only highlight. I want to see that game between those two right there.
Yeah, and that's TJ's he's gonna be TJ. He's got that endless motor, and he's gonna get his numbers regardless of how well Collins ends up blocking. Just because like TJ will go and make a tackle 20 yards downfield, and Cam Hayward will be right next to him making that same tackle. Hopefully, we don't have that many plays where they have to go down 20 yards to go make that tackle.
And that's the thing for the Bengals. They're gonna have to wear down that defensive line because they have a motor. And I feel like with Joe Mixon in the backfield, they have opportunity to literally create holes because holes are there. Let's be real. Sometimes those guys up front, Highsmith is a very light guy. He can be thrown out the club. TJ is a very sometimes undisciplined guy, meaning that sometimes TJ does his own thing and hit his own gap sometimes. And it works out for him sometimes because he's good enough to do it. But they gonna have to count on them to beat the Steelers D line. They're gonna have to count on them wearing their D line down. Doubling team. They're gonna create two double teams up front and one solo. Dan Moore or whoever it is who they want to put the solo on, but they're gonna have to create two double teams up front to minimize that rush up front. And I think that's how you're gonna wear those guys up on a D line for the Steelers for the Bengals to come away with that win. But however, we know the Steelers is a powerful D line, so it might be a long day for those guys up front. Lyle, but it brings hard hat.
Yeah, and that's and a big difference in last year's matchups to this year is we got Larry Ogunjobi on the line.
Yep.
That's an upgrade over who was filling in for or Chris Wormley, and Chris Wormley is a great player, but Larry O's an upgrade. Tyson's back, and then we have
Does Chris Wormley make the team?
Yeah, he's still
Oh, he's okay.
Yeah, and then another thing with the D line is it's a much better rotation than we had last year. Like with the Marvin Leal that we picked up, we drafted him in the 3rd round. Before the season started, he was projected to be a top 10 pick.
Not to move on topic here, Caleb, but one of our guys that was there on the D line, Isaiah Buggs, he made the team for the Detroit Lions, by the way. Give it up for my boy B. My boy Buggs.
Congrats to Bugs.
Buggs made the team over there. I was excited to see that man make the team over there, watching Hard Knocks, and I'm excited. So he got a good group over there with Michael Brockers and those guys. But back to the D line of Pittsburgh. I just had to throw it out there because Bugsy was a guy in rotation here at Pittsburgh, and he got uprooted up out of here, and he ended up making the team for Detroit. So that's good for him. And
But then you talked about the matchup you're most looking forward to seeing in Collins and Watt. I'm going to go more towards the Bengals secondary and seeing if they can cover our stable of receivers.
That's definitely a great spotlight to have because once again I told you I'm most excited about the Steelers team on their receiver room, and that's rare because receivers are considered prima donnas, don't want it, but those guys now it's a different transformed group, and I think it's probably the best group they had in a while.
Yeah,
me personally, I think it's the best group they had in a while as far as the fullness of everyone is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had Juju, you had Deontay. Yeah, but you had other guys' roles that was minimized. Kind of like Ray was really just a sweep guy, but he was just a guy in the room, but he wasn't the guy. But I think now they had guys in the room with Claypool. You got Pickens. You got Johnson. You got all guys that's capable of going out there and going down the yard and making big plays. And it's not just sweep guys. And you got Deontay can do sweeps as well because he's fast. So I think right now that's the first time I've seen in a minute that they have guys that's literally a full group that can go out there and work all of them.
Yeah, and that's I think a big piece this year. I'm gonna say he's gonna be our Wes Welker, but Gunnar Ocheski. He was balling out this preseason. Him and
Yes,
Mitch had a
yes.
solid connection.
That's the rookie guy, right?
He was I think this is his 4th or 5th year, but
Okay.
it was his first year in Pittsburgh. He was
Yeah.
all pro returner for New England. They never
Okay.
really used him in the receiving game, but I mean, Wes Welker had the same upbringing. He was a returner in Miami.
You got to find your role in this league. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He
Mm-hmm.
found his role and he's maximized. So I think he's definitely gonna be a good guy in that slot. He's quick. I think I watched him in preseason. Definitely back in that punt returns. Oh my gosh, he was
Yeah.
getting yards. He was finding a way to
Yeah.
make yards. So I think that he can definitely a special player for them to have, and especially in the punting game. Even when Calvin Austin returns, and you got Deontay that can go back there. So they got guys that can go back there and catch them punts and field them. So
Yeah. And then they got all those receivers, and then we're forgetting about, in my opinion, at worst he'll be a top tight end, a top 10 tight end this year. At best, I see him being a top 5 tight end in Pat Fryermuth. Statistical wise.
100%. 100%. Pat is definitely an awesome tight end. I think he's definitely the athletic Heath Miller of Ben they had in a long time. I think he's a guy that's reliable, got strong hands that will catch in traffic. I think he's definitely a guy that's definitely can go out there with his hand in his dirt and out there flexed out wide at the receiver spot. So I think he's definitely be a guy. He's a pillar to his offense. I think that's moving forward. The offense need to be ran at least through that guy when it comes to passing game. Look his way first and then other second. Because when you establish a tight end connection, that makes people have to cover more than just receivers and running backs out the backfield.
Yeah.
And from my experience looking at this game, tight ends are dangerous in this game when they can run and catch. Think about all the great tight ends that was actually like dangerous, like Eric Ebron. Those guys they had they can go out there and go catch and go in space. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Heath Miller back in the day. You know what I mean? So I think it's guys like that and all over the world. Yeah, I mean all over the league. Like tight ends that can play and catch like that, like Kels, and those guys are dangerous because it's like you got to stop receivers alone, and then you got to stop a tight end that can go catch, and he can get blocked. It's just too much. Like it's too much, and now they incorporating tight end screens and shit. Like it's a lot. So when you incorporate your tight end, it becomes very dangerous for offense.
And a big difference is going to be the Steelers are actually going to throw the ball down the middle of the field this year. It's not going to be the dink and dunking we saw last year in Ben's final year, where he just didn't have the arm to do it anymore, where he was a little scared to throw it in the middle these days.
Yeah.
Like we saw it on the end of the Jacksonville first half, and then the Detroit end of the first half as well, where Pat had 2 big plays up the middle that were huge on those 2-minute drives to score at the end of the half with Pickett and Trubisky. So both quarterbacks who are potentially going to be the starter at some point this year have a connection with him already. And he had the touchdowns last year, just didn't have the yards due to that dink and dunk. Yeah, I got him on my fantasy team. I'm expecting a big year.
Yeah. I ain't for fantasy football yet, but hey, if I did, hit me on mine too.
Yeah.
Man, but as we wrap this up, man, I think Steelers fans have something definitely exciting to be looking forward to this upcoming Sunday. I think there's going to be crazy football to watch, man. You have my spotlight I can't wait to watch, and I'm saying between TJ and Lyell, I'll be watching that very closely with a slightly watching Pickens, my guy, my day one right now. Something we used to always call out in our room, the O-line room back in Pittsburgh. We always had day ones. So if a new guy comes to the team or a rookie, we call them out day ones. You got to pick a day one. Yeah. So for instance, right now he's my day one. But usually they say you can't pick a first round or second round. So good thing I'm shifting the rules a little bit. But he's my day one, meaning that I know from this point on, I know he's gonna be good. He's my guy. I don't know. So I know ain't nothing can go wrong with this guy. He's gonna kill it. He's gonna light it up. He's my day one. If I'm doing fantasy football, he's definitely on my team. Starter, hands down starter. Like so, Benny Snell's still my day one too. He's still my day one, 100%. Still my day one. So yeah, but
so before we wrap it up, let's get Week 1 prediction. Who wins and what is your score prediction?
Tough. I think Steelers take a loss. I think Steelers take a loss week one. I think it's gonna be a close one. I think it's gonna be a close one. But I just think that the powerful offense of the Bengals is going to take over, and I think that it's going to wear down that defense a little bit. They secondary. I think Cam Sutton's playing a hell of a game. Terrell, I think Arnold's playing well, but I just think that it's just not going to be enough to stop their T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and all those guys they got. I think that Steelers will take the loss with. I think their offense still going to be too powerful. So I think the score there, I'm giving it 27-14.
Our final score is actually very close. We're 1 point off, actually, on our final score prediction. I obviously got the Steelers winning, though. But I have my final score as 27-13.
Wow. 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 That's crazy. Man. Hey, I got to go with the Bengals here. I mean, Steelers, they ain't hot. But I know it's a terrible DGF show. I know that. But I got to go with what's realistic. And I think the Bengals come out a powerful year last year. I think they're only going to build. I think they're going to continue to build. I think right now they got a lot of great pieces that's in stone, that's ready to go. And I think Joe Mixon and Burrow and that offense is going to light the scoreboard up against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and just to for the people that are watching, and whenever we have this out there, all my predictions will be a Steelers win, and we will be undefeated, and we are going to win the Super Bowl. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for watching the Terrible DGAF show with me, Kaleb, and Derwin Gray. If you got anything to say to the fans, let them know.
Hey, man, we out, man. Catch y'all next week for week 2 predictions, man. Tune in to the Terrible DGF show. We out.
Let's fucking go. We're here. Let's go.
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.